Vedic Astrology. Today, we are going to talk about the present conjunction of Rahu and Mars in Aries that we see in the skies. But before that, a big thanks to all of you for liking, sharing, and subscribing to our YouTube and Spotify channels and writing in your comments and your suggestions there. So, when we're talking about the Rahu-Mars combination, it's supposed to be one of the not so liked combinations. It's called the Angara Cube, and Angara actually means Angara is the burning coal, and it leaves a lot of pain. It leaves a lot of problems in its wake. So how does that happen? First and foremost, we know that Rahu and Mars both are the cruel grahas or the cruel planets, which definitely take their toll on a person. But Rahu is also said to give the results of the planet it is associated with and the house or the sign that it is sitting in. Incidentally, we know that Aries is the sign of Mars. So Rahu is capable of giving you the results of Aries as well as Scorpio. Now, Mars is a Agni Tattva or a fiery planet. Aries is a fiery sign, and Rahu can expand that fiery energy to great levels. So we see a lot of fire in this combination in the present transit, and Rahu gives very sudden results. Mars, when given a lot of what should we say, expansive power, can at times go into a person's head, and it's literally sitting on the head of the Kala Purush. So the energies can be explosive to the point that they can take great toll on us. It is sitting on our head, so it can take mental toll. It can give us a lot of stress. Be very sure about your BP, and one needs to be very attentive and not to do things out of compulsion, because Rahu can make one do things out of compulsion, can create misunderstandings, can create a lot of nervous tension in a person. Being aware of all these things, will it matter? To a certain degree, yes, because in that case, we know what we are doing, where we are heading for. So we can check ourselves if we can divert this energy to do a certain amount of research, because as it aspects the 8th house, it gives an ability to work hard in areas of research, go into a deeper meditation, doing the Durga mantras or the Lord Hanumana mantras. As the 8th house shows the sadhana, we can divert a lot of energy to a good cause. But small amount of energy, when it does show its effect, we are aware and we just let it go instead of holding on to small issues. So this is in effect how it is showing. The Angara cube will give us a certain amount of problems, so to speak, and that it can create obstacles depending on the house for whom it is present and where it is created. Another thing, this effect will be seen in a more intense level for those who have this yoga in their charts. People who have a combination of Rahu and Mars in their chart, either by aspect, by association, or by conjunction, will see it getting activated. More so if you have a dasha antardasha pratyantar of one running and the other catching up. So you know that these planets are highly activated in your chart, and there's a need to be more aware and alert as to when you're doing what. Don't be superstitious, because that will just add on to your miseries, but be alert. If you see that there's an explosive situation coming up for you, you know that you should either drink a glass of water, calm that fire down, and go back and start doing your Durga mantra, so you can divert that energy. Or you can go back to doing certain amount of research, or you can go back and start cleaning things up. In these ways, when you're decluttering and you're using your energy physical, mental, and emotional energy to declutter yourself, then you're also using this combination. There are many ways to use the energy fruitfully, so we can always do that. So let's begin with the Lagna association. What we do have a video on Angara cube and how it is effective in the 12 houses in our charts. Today we are going to talk about the transit effect of the Angara cube. So when we're talking about the Aries Lagna, as I just said, that this is the situation up there where Mars just having entered and Rahu also being in the fourth pada of Bharani Nakshatra. They're quite a distance apart, but you would be able to feel some aura because there is an orb that both of them are operating on. But this result will be intensely felt within the the next last 15 days of July. So how does it affect us? It affects us in many houses because Rahu has 159 and Mars has 148, not to mention the seventh aspect. So they will be looking over a number of areas in our chart. You should be very careful about the differences you're having with your children or the differences you can have with your in-laws. Your way of thinking of the dharma can be different from others, and you could be trying to understand some other religion, which is also a good way to express this energy. You can read up on certain matters. Yes, some property issues, some issues regarding the family could be stressful because Rahu and Mars are also aspecting your fourth house. And so you could get over emotional about certain matters, which would not be very good on your part, because that can cause you headaches, that can cause you certain problems with the head. While traveling, please be careful about any injuries that you can uh, you can avoid, and be careful where you're walking. That these are the times when you do not allow misunderstandings with siblings, because Rahu Mars combination also talks about misunderstandings with siblings. It's very important to be very focused and not allow things to happen on the sibling front also. The eighth house can also show younger siblings of your spouse. So maintain a cordial relationship with your spouses, younger siblings also. As Rahu and Mars aspect your eighth house in this transit, it is also a possibility that this Rahu and Mars can get you into a different kind of sadhana, or can allow you to do things that you are not very comfortable with, or things that are not healthy for you physically, mentally, emotionally, financially. Be very careful about it, because Rahu definitely will take its toll from you when it moves into your 12th house. So then we move on to the Taurus Lagna. For the Taurus Lagna person, this combination is happening in your 12th house and is affecting your 3rd house, affecting your 7th house, 6th house, and your 8th house, not to mention your 4th house. When we talk about Rahu's and Mars's effect on the 3rd house, it can give you a daredevil kind of an attitude, and it can make you do things at supersonic speed rashly. Doing things is good, but doing things rashly can put you in a soup, can give you an emotional setback, and can bring sudden changes, because your 6th house and your 8th house is also affected. So it can bring in sudden changes in life, which will not be very conducive for you. So this is a time when you do not, and that can cause you losses also. So it's a time when you do not venture into doing things on a very reckless or a rashful manner. Do think things out. work. Instead of just going headlong into anything, work into trying to work things into a system and then going ahead with it. And when Mars is aspecting your seventh house, also being the lord of the seventh house, it's best advice not to have misunderstandings with the spouse, with your partner, and to maintain a war-free zone, especially in the bedroom, because Rahu and Mars for you are active in the 12th house. If you do that, there are chances for those who are looking for reconciliation will go into a reconciliation, or those who are looking for a separation will definitely head their ways in the next coming 1.5 months. As we talk about the Gemini Lagna, for the Gemini Lagna, Rahu and Mars are getting together, combining in the sign of Aries, and it's your 11th house, aspecting your this combination, aspecting your second house, aspecting your third house, aspecting your fifth house, and aspecting your sixth and seventh houses. So this is a time when if you want to very systematically increase in your circles, social circles, you can very well do that. On the other hand, you should also be very careful with the kind of associations you make, because they can be some fraudulent associations that you make, which may create monetary issues for you in the months of July, August, September, and October. So you have to be very careful in that time with the kind of people you make association with. Again, as it aspects your third and fourth house, as I told about the the third house and the fifth house, and as I said about the Taurus Lagna, if you need to be very sure as to what kind of investments you are making. Again, for the Taurus Lagna, the kind of investment one makes is also important. Why is it important? Because it's the 11th lord in the 11th house with Rahu. You would want to earn more and more. Rahu can give you misunderstandings. It can give you an attraction for getting things, for craving for a lot of finance, which again, as we know from the stories, can be detrimental for one's own being, one's own peace of mind. You might lose a lot, you might have a lot to do. So be very careful with the kind of investments that you are making. Again, as we talk about Rahu's aspect on your third house, you're daring to go. With Mars, there's no stopping you, but be sure what you are doing. We talk about Rahu and Mars in your sixth, aspecting your sixth house. This is a right time not to pick up any kind of problematic situations or hassles or fights with people working with you, people, your employees, your work area. So these places are places which are fraught with a lot of anger issues, misunderstanding. Everyone is boiling. So it's time to just tone your levels down, be focused in your work, try to do in a lot of research, a lot of understanding of how the system is working. And if you're working on a particular project, the more you get to know about the project, the better it will show for you when Rahu is moving into the Ashwini Nakshatra. So at this moment, it's highly advisable not to go fighting, searching for areas where you want to fight. You desperately will want to fight, where you will be craving for getting the truth out. You will be craving for justice, but hold your horses. Things have a way of revealing themselves. We move on to the Cancer Lagna. For the Cancer Lagna people, we see that Rahu aspects the Lagna, Rahu and Mars combination taking place in the 10th house in the Aries sign, aspects the Lagna, aspects the second house, aspects the fourth house, the fifth house, and the sixth house. So all the inner houses and the 10th house are very much active. Mars is Digbali for you with the Rahu. It shows a great amount of potential to work, and you will be getting a lot of work, new projects coming your way. However, hold your horses. Not every single project that we take needs to be answered or needs to be worked on. We need to see the viability. There are many a times that you might be shown a different picture, and what you receive will be different. So use your thought process, because Rahu is also aspecting your fifth house along with Mars. So use your ability to think differently from others and apply your energy there. You will be able to do a lot good in your business, bring about certain transformations there, a total focus on work without irritation, channelizing into going deeper and deeper will help you earn a lot of brownie points with many people. Moreover, when there is a lot of closeness coming through in Bharani Nakshatra, you have to be very careful that you do not move into a burnout zone, because that is the time that Sun is also likely to move on your Lagna. So don't go, so be very careful, learn to balance things out at that moment, and your work will be just fine. Don't forget to recite the Hanuman Chalisa or the Durga Shaptashati when you are in a mode of tension. For the Leo Lagna people, this again is the Yogkarak with Rahu in the ninth house. The ninth house is the house of a lot of luxuries, lot of name and fame. The ninth house is also the house of your social status. A word of caution for all of you here. Being two cruel planets that we see associated in the ninth house and being very strong in their own right, they can bring in some amount of slander. So it's very important that you do not rush to conclusions, you do not jump into areas without, because this combination also aspects your third house and the fourth house. So you have to be very rational about what you speak, where you speak, so that you do not incur the wrath or the unpleasant situations that can arise with this combination. There's also a chance that you can lash out to people for the want of the right justice. We will also see that Leo Lagna people will become more and more aware of how they perceive certain elders in life, and how they see that those elders may have a feet of clay. So it's very important to not feel hurt, not feel bad about what's happening in life, and how people whom you had put on a pedestal fall short of delivering certain results. That's human nature. Good that you will realize it early, but don't wait too much for anybody's blood. It's not going to give you much peace either. As we talk about Rahu and Mars aspecting your fifth house in the transit, it also can give you certain amount of worry in respect of your children, or in respect of your own image. This again, I repeat, this one needs to just be stable. One needs, because this is a movable sign, so the stability is somewhat missing, but your ascendant is a fixed ascendant. So be stable, and you need not feel very bad. Just keep quiet, keep calm. And as Mars moves into Kritika after the 15th of August, or after the 5th of August, and till the end of this August, you will find that things will have a way of sorting themselves out. So one needs to be very, very careful during this phase, at least for the Leo Lagna people. I move on to the Virgo Lagna people. For the Virgo Lagna people, this is a great time to move your energies into a direction of bhakti. either you take up the bhakti of Subramanyam Swami, because that is also Mars, because we also talk in down south in India, Mars is a representation of Subramanyam Swami. You can, for people living in the north, you can take up a deep attachment to Hanumanji or goddess Durga for that matter. These, when one goes deep down, and this is a fiery planet, it's your 8th house of devotion and adhyatma and sadhana, you will find a lot of realization, because fire does tend to transform you. So transform you in which respect? Sadhana. The second thing that a person can do when Rahu is in the 8th house, it does give a propensity for deep research. Mars here is giving you the energy to do research. It's also aspecting your 3rd house of valor and the courage to move into a new direction of research. So, and knowing how to talk. So it's very important for the Virgo Lagna people to divert their energy for research and towards sadhana, and also being very conscious of how and how you portray yourself, how you talk, because the 3rd house is very strongly influenced by Rahu and Mars combination, and it does bode well for you. Basically, there is a shelter, there is Jupiter aspecting, so it might control you. In fact, it will control that aspect, but you need to be also very strong on that. Saturn also, a retrograde Saturn aspecting it, can give you the opportunity to keep quiet. It's rather keeping quiet than going ballistic and creating problems for your own self. We move on to the sign of Libra. Libra is a sign where we see Ketu already in the ascendant and Mars and Rahu in your 7th house. This Mars and Rahu are very good to go in the 7th house for those who are searching for partners. For those who are searching for partners, try searching for partner who's different from you, because it's your 7th lord in the 7th house along with Rahu can give you a very strong affair, a very strong relationship from somebody who's very different from you, very different from your culture, and can that can be something which is karmic, so to speak. As I said again, it's the 7th lord with Rahu. That means you have certain relationships that need to be completed, or there's the relationships that you are going through, there is a need to do things for you, for them, because Rahu means that there is an evolvement still required along with that Mars. As it moves from Ashwini, Bharani and Kritika nakshatras, because Rahu is a slow moving planet, Mars in its wake, in its 2 months journey through this sign, is trying to tell people that being dynamic is good, but hold on to certain amount of dynamism and don't be all over the place, because the 7th house is also the house of a public platform. If you're all over the place, you might suffer from a burnout. By the time Kritika Nakshatra comes in, Mars moves into Kritika Nakshatra, a person may have frittered away with all their energies. It's a good time to be, because Mars is also the Maraka for you people, and joining with Rahu in transit, it's very important that one takes care of their health issues first, especially when Mars moves through Bharani Nakshatra. And because this is happening in the head of the Kal Purush and in the waist for you, so these are the little, as I said, delicate areas of your house that you need to take care of. Again, for those who are in partnership, it's very important to be alert, not to be cheated by your partners and not to cheat with them either. The first effect that you see will be on your feet. For those who want to move away from partnerships now, it's when Mars enters into Kritika Nakshatra would be a good time. However, please do not create problems for your partners at the moment, because when Mars would move into Kritika Nakshatra, the partner would know how to reply back to you, and that too in spades. As we talk about the Scorpio Lagna, for the Scorpio Lagna, this association happens in the 6th house, Rahu Mars association in Aries, and it's the Lagna Lord also aspecting the Lagna. Whenever malefics, be it the Lagna Lord or the Lord of the own house, they are associated with Padaka Sthanas, that is, or the 6th house. They're here to teach us a lesson that we have been abusing our bodies a little too much. We need to set certain regimes straight. Mars is an indication of energy, and Mars is aspecting your Lagna also. A very classical dictum that holds true for all forms of astrology is that when Mars aspects the Lagna, one tends to overwork on certain issues and destroy their own selves. Here, I really request people to take time off to form certain regime, do certain amount of yoga, because yoga is energy. Tai Chi yoga, where you are expanding that energy in a proper direction, and that will help you overcome this Mars Rahu connection. Again, when Mars and Rahu are placed in the 6th house, and that too again in the Lagna of Aries, it's a fire sign and it's a sign of transformation. Rahu is giving the results of the Lagna as well as the 6th house here in transit. So it means that be very careful about the habits that you're picking. Okay, and it's also a time when one can really go into setting things straight. Yes, there is a lot of confusion for you, but this is the time when you need to sit down, write things down, and set regimes in different areas of life. 6th house also denotes work. So work could also be piling up, or work could be getting so, you could be expanding so much of work all over the place that you could also cause a burnout for your own self. Please be very careful on that account. Drinking in a lot of water, because Mars also is aspecting your Lagna, which is a watery sign. Drinking in water, not taking such liquids that can be intoxicating, like a lot of drinks, or because Rahu Mars combination can tend to lead you to excessive smoking also. So be aware of those things also. We move on for the Sagittarius Lagna. For the Sagittarius Lagna, it's happening in your 5th house, and it's the 5th Lord with Rahu in the 5th house. Mars here is also becoming the Karaka of your intelligence, showing you applying your intelligence in a different manner. That is good, because Rahu gives you an ability to think out of the box. But for those who plan to move into areas of shortcut to earn wealth, are likely to suffer losses quite soon when Rahu Mars conjoins, because Rahu Mars conjoining in the nakshatra of Dharani brings forth justice, and Mars Rahu aspect the 12th house also for you. As it aspects the 11th house, one is tempted, and the 5th house being the house of short-term gains, one is tempted to move towards short-term gains, and Mars is in Ashwini Nakshatra as quick as possible. But that quickness will have its repercussions. So stay stable, look at the avenues, think out of box, expand, but do not cheat is very important for all of us to understand. As this also, as this combination also aspects your 8th house, it's important not to let things go out of hand, or emotional energy of the 8th house go out of hand, be it in terms of some expectations you have from the family, property, or your in-laws. So be nice to them also, and that would also give you good results. As this combination also is aspecting your Lagna, it is very important that you maintain your cool, maintain your BP well. If you have this combination working in your charts, or the Dasha Antardasha Pratyantar running ahead for you in this during this time, it's very important that you drink in a lot of water, continuously do the Durga Shaptashati, and also do the Hanuman Chalisa. Okay, as we are moving forward with the Capricorn Lagna. For the Capricorn Lagna, it is the fourth lord in the fourth house with Rahu, and it's a fiery planet. One line sentence to all of you: be very careful at home with your mother and with your emotions. They are on a boil. At the drop of a hat, you can have problems, especially with those having emotional attachments in terms of with others outside of marriage, also not outside of marriage, but others outside of home, be it your love relationship, because here your emotional quotient is being disturbed. For those riding a big car or a different kind of car, also need to be a little careful, because the fourth house is also the house of securities and vehicles. This is the time when you're tempted to purchase a different car, a big car, and that's just all right. But look at the financial viability also. Are you stepping out of your line? Are you moving in a direction where you are overspending, where at a later date you might feel a pinch? Is something you really do need to consider, because Rahu and Mars are also aspecting your 12th house. Let's see the effect of Rahu and Mars in the 11th house. It's time when you are likely to get some gains, some effect, and you will do good with that. And as Jupiter also aspects that, think out of box and make that money, but don't cheat others, is something I will always maintain during this Rahu Mars combination. When we're talking about the Aquarius Lagna, for the Aquarius Lagna people, Rahu and Mars are in the third house in transit in Aries, and aspect your 6th house, 7th house, 9th house, 10th house, and 11th house. It's a good combination, honestly, because this is going to make you work hard. But the only thing is, don't get angry, because the third house is also the house of anger. And the third house, being a fire sign with so many fiery planets, airy planets sitting there, which tend to give a lot of air and which tend to increase the fire element, it's important for you to have a strong control over your fire. Please be discreetly in your way of dispensing with the work. Do not take up any unnecessary problems, issues with your personal assistants at home, people who are helping you at home, or colleagues at your workplace. It's important to maintain your cool at your workplace also. You are not to take, you should not take, rather, who am I to say you're not to take, but I would suggest you should not take any problem, any work which is so rash, which is just so accidental, and then work on it. Rahu Mars tends to do that to us, but on a long run, one may suffer. I'd read a very beautiful quote, and I will say that here. When you are in a hurry and want to do things just now, wait for an hour. When you're hurry and you want to do things as of yesterday, wait for one whole day. And when you are in a hurry that you feel if you don't do it now, you will die, wait for a year or a month. So this is something that will work very strongly with the Aquarius Nakshatra Lagna. Rahu has a tendency to create a fear. Rahu has a tendency to create a misunderstanding. Be very careful about that. It's happening, and with the Aquarius Lagna, this is a combination happening in the third house. Rahu Mars combination has a tendency to tell us that there's something that we need to do for our younger siblings, and we need to complete certain amount of duties towards them. If you are doing your duties towards your siblings properly, you will realize that you're in a good place. However, this combination also can tell you that you will incur, and especially when Rahu Mars meet in Bharani Nakshatra, you may be either working with your siblings or against your siblings. How you do that will reflect strongly when Mars moves into your fourth house and the peace of the house is built or destroyed. Be very careful while handling your siblings in the coming months. Also be very careful with your decisions, with your rashness. Anything that requires instant decision making needs to be postponed for some time. And we talk about the Pisces Lagna. For the Pisces Lagna, it's happening in your second house, and it's with the second lord is highly involved with that. All that is being aspected is the fifth house, the sixth house, the ninth house, and the 10th house. So we see lots of changes in your ideas. We see you not being very comfortable with your children on an emotional level, because there can be certain differences of opinions, and it is a time when you need to allow those opinions, those differences to air out. Don't be very rash in your speech. It's aspecting your ninth house also, and sitting in your second house. So rashness in your speech can create a lot of issues, either with your employees or your children, and also with your in-laws. Be very careful with it. It can also cause you financial harm, because the 2, 5 and the 8 axes are all about finance. So be very careful of how you word things. Yes, you may feel irritated when things are not happening at the right pace, things are not happening with the right intention, but you can always, because Jupiter is sitting in your Lagna, it gives you that at the moment in transit. So it gives you that ability, that vivek, that thought process, that ability to hold things and talk about things in a very calm and collected manner. Utilize that aspect also and get very good results from there. So do let us know how you found this video. Let us know how things are evolving in your life, and know that the remedial measures give you a base to hold on to, but the remedial measures do not do everything. There's some part of the karma that you also need to follow, and some alertness, some awareness on your part is also very important. Till we meet with you again, stay safe and keep writing.
Please hit the bell icon for fresh updates. Don't forget to like, share, and comment on the videos, and please subscribe to our channel.